So far as I'm concerned, there are really only two kinds of books out there. There are those that have sold like 5 copies and you can find them typing in random gibberish in your search engine. They're usually not very good, but you find yourself using them every now and again. Think of them as the internet explorers of the literary world. Then you have the well-written, refined novels that have multiple editors and agents behind it and go after the big money. They may make mistakes every now and again, but you find yourself using them more often than not. Think of them as the Googles of the publishing world. These books strive to get not only sales, but publicity and hopefully a movie deal. Ah, yes, the movie deal. Clearly, the nirvana for any young, independent writer. It's a higher plane of existence when you make it to Hollywood. Who doesn't want to see the characters that they wrote be acted out on the big screen? Not to mention the enormous profit they get selling the rights. Yeah. With the advent of young adult dystopia and the Harry Potter Twilight craze that preceded it, it's easy to forget that some authors didn't want their stories in a screenwriter's hands. J.D. Salinger rejected all offers to make a movie of his book Catcher in the Rye, blessed be its name, for over 60 years. I mean, why not get the movie deal and get the fame, and the money, and the satisfaction, and the money? The crux of the argument is, once the author signs away the rights for the movie to be made, he can become just as irrelevant as, like, the Comic Code Authority or Hayden Christensen's acting career after Star Wars. Of course, this varies from production to production and company to company, but I'm pretty sure that every author can agree that one of the worst things that can happen to you is to have your work ruined by someone else. Case in point, The Neverending Story by Michael Ende. What? You cry out, but The Neverending Story is a great movie. And you're right, it's a good movie, but not a very good adaptation. Right now, though, let's just focus on the book. I read this puppy back in my childhood, back when Double D meant nothing but a character on Ed, Edd n Eddy. Truly a simpler time. We have here a very nice cover. We've got a vine with all these happy characters. Some weird marmoset thing, what looks like Pippi Longstocking's lesbian lover. You know, the works. The story begins with a kid running away from bullies and taking refuge in an old man's bookshop. His name is Bastian Baltazar Bucks. Given how much I bashed the names from last week, I should probably make fun of how silly these names are. But this is a fantasy novel, and the expectations are kinda different when it comes to naming. Who knows, maybe the bullies were chasing after the kid because his name's stupid. He steals a forbidden magical book and runs away to go hide and read it. It details the magical quest of a green-skinned kid named Atreyu as he tries to go defeat the Nothing. To make a very, very long story short, there's this deity being thing called the Childlike Empress who's very sick and her power is weakening. If she dies, then an evil entity known as the Nothing will consume the magical world of Fantasia and turn everything into a void. The only way the Empress can be healed is by getting a new name by someone with the power of creativity. How the hell any of this makes sense is beyond me. It's like Naked Lunch, except with a little bit more of a plot. You just kinda have to roll with it. The book has a lot of interesting paradoxes which really don't fit well into a movie. For example, the Nothing. In the movie, it's this weird diarrhea cloud thing. In the book, it's literally nothing. Not a black void, not a blank white, nothing. What does nothing look like? Who friggin' cares? The book doesn't have to show you. But in the movie, you have to put something on screen. So as the adventure continues, Bastian realizes that he's being written into the story as a character, and he has influence over what happens in the plot. He eventually gets sucked into the book and cures the Empress by giving her a new name. Moonchild. Moonchild, things are gonna get easier. Then bam! The Nothing's gone and Bastian and Atreyu are treated as heroes. Then, the real meat and potatoes of the story begins. You see, Bastian stays in Fantasia. He gets this amulet which grants wishes for him in the magical world. Bastian slowly becomes more and more sucked into Fantasia, making stupid wish after stupid wish and gradually losing his memory, losing all connections he has to the outside. Eventually he forgets his own name. Honestly, if I was named Bastian Balthazar Bucks, I'd probably want to forget it too. But seriously, think about it. Some sad, unpopular kid shunning the cruel world and instead turning to a fictional one, gradually losing touch with what's real and what isn't. That still sounds super prevalent. Not just with books, but with movies and video games. And yes, definitely the internet. The Neverending Story isn't telling you to pursue your dreams or whatever, it's telling you to remember who you are and where you came from, and no matter how much you try to run away from it, reality is there. And it's much better to face it than be consumed by some fantasy world and forget who you are. So how does a movie translate such a thoughtful, deep, and original message? Psh, easy. It doesn't! The film ends right around when Bastian vanquishes the Nothing. He then proceeds to ride a magical dragon back to the real world and attack the bullies who attacked him earlier. Wait, what? It's literally the opposite of what the book's trying to say. Yeah, kids, trust in your dreams. One day you'll have a friggin' dragon to sick on all the kids who are mean to you. With any luck, he can catch them and devour them alive. Isn't that fun? Maybe I'm being hard on the movie. After all, it's really just an innocent family film. A plot and message like the Neverending story could never really hit a mainstream audience. That's why once he found out what was going on, Michael End campaigned to stop the film. So what's the final verdict on this book? I'd give it a good out of 10. And for the movie, probably closer to it out of 10. I'd say more, but this review's already too long and way too preachy. Read the book, watch the movie. Just, for the love of God, don't watch any of the sequels.